Do you feel guilty every time you have to skip your sadhana? You want to pray, you want to meditate, but life gets in the way, and that guilt every single day quietly follows you to bed, isn't it? You're starting to wonder, is spirituality even meant for someone like you? Someone living a life like yours? One of Ramakrishna's devotees felt exactly the same way. And what Ramakrishna said next completely changed the way that devotee thought about sadhana. It might change yours too. Listen to me carefully. Ramakrishna started with a simple analogy. He said, have you ever seen a woman selling flattened rice in a village? Poha or puffed rice? Picture her. She is working a heavy wooden husking pedal with her foot, pressing it down again and again. With one hand, she is pushing the grain forward so it gets processed evenly. With the other hand, she is holding a baby and feeding it. And at the same time, she is bargaining with the customer standing right in front of her. All of this at once. 90% of her focus is on that pedal, because if her attention slips even for a moment, that pedal could come down on her hand. She can't afford to lose focus here. She handles the baby and customers with just 10% of her focus, and she does it perfectly well. This is called Abhyasa Yoga or Abhyasa Yoga, the yoga of practice. Those of us living in the world should do the same thing. Give 90% of your mind to God. Keep only 10% for the world. Let the world run on that 10%. Your job, your family, your duties, they will still get done. But God gets the majority of your attention, always. But if you do the reverse, you fall into the grip of time. Time here means death. It means a life that slowly gets filled with work, worries, and small things until one day you look back and you feel you never really lived the part that truly mattered. That woman with the husking pedal, she knows exactly where her core attention should stay. The moment she forgets, she gets hurt. Ramakrishna is saying the same thing happens to us. The moment we forget God and give everything to the world, life itself starts to hurt us. Not as a punishment, but as a consequence. So after he said, listening to this, the devotee asked, how do I train my mind to stay on God while living in the world? And Ramakrishna had an answer for this as well. He said, once you pour milk directly into water, you can't separate it anymore, can you? The milk is gone. That's what happens when an unprepared mind enters the world. It just dissolves into the noise, the ambition, the drama, the endless wanting. So what should one do? There has to be a solution. So first turn that milk into curd. Then churn it into solitude. Extract the butter. Put that butter into water. Butter doesn't mix with water, does it? It floats. It holds itself together. That butter is a mind that has been churned through some practice, some stillness, some meditation in solitude. And that mind can live in the world without being consumed by. That means, in simple words, in the beginning, you need some solitude, some dedicated time where you turn inward. At that point, your mind is like a small peepal sapling in the spiritual world. It's young and tender. You put a fence around it, otherwise goats and cows representing worldly Maya will eat it up before it even gets a chance to grow. But once the tree has fully grown, you can tie an elephant to it and nothing will shake it. Then Ramakrishna enlightened the devotee to the core. He said, not everyone can follow a rigid discipline and not everyone can count their malas, sit for fixed hours, follow a strict routine. And that's okay. There are two kinds of seekers in the world, he says. The first kind is like a baby monkey. Have you seen how baby monkey clings to its mother? It holds on with its own grip, its own effort, and its own strength. These are the seekers who say, I will do 100 rounds of japa. I will meditate for an hour every morning. I will follow every rule, and through that effort, I will reach God. That is a valid path. But then there's the second kind, and they are like a kitten. A kitten doesn't hold on to its mother. It doesn't grip. It doesn't calculate. It just lies there and it cries. That's it. That's the whole effort. And what does the mother cat do? She picks it up. She carries it wherever it needs to go. Sometimes to the bed, sometimes to the roof, sometimes just holding it in her mouth as she moves. The kitten does not direct any of this, it simply keeps crying. Ramakrishna said some seekers are exactly like this. They can't do elaborate discipline, but they have one thing, an immense longing, a real aching, genuine cry from the inside. And he said, when God hears that cry, they cannot sit still or they cannot stay still. They have to come to their devote. You don't have to be spiritually disciplined. You just have to be genuinely desperate. There's a difference between performing devotion and actually yearning for God. One is effort, the other is love. Yoga happens when there is no break in the connection. Take the example of a telegraph wire. If the wire is continuous and intact, the message travels perfectly. But the moment there is a break, even a small one, there is only sound and nothing gets delivered. The message just stops. Your prayer is the message and your mind is the wire. And the breaks, those are the moments where the world pulls your attention completely, where you forget entirely, where God becomes something you will get back to later. He said impurities in the mind, scattered desires, constant distractions, those are the breaks in the wire. And when the wire is broken, your prayer does not reach. This is not about how long you pray. This is whether the connection is alive. And there is one more thing that was bugging that devotee when this conversation was going on. He said, but I don't get time to call upon God. And Ramakrishna smiled. He told another small story. A child once told his mother before falling asleep, wake me up when I need to use the washroom. And the mother said, my son, the urge itself will wake you. I won't need to. Whatever truly needs to happen has already been arranged. You don't need to control everything. In fact, you can't control everything. The exhausting belief that you must manage every outcome, every moment, every result, that itself is what is keeping you away from God. Surrender everything at their feet. Give them full responsibility. Let them do what they think is best. That word, surrender, is misunderstood. People think it means giving up, becoming passive, doing nothing. And that is not what Ramakrishna meant. He meant do your work, play your role, but stop carrying the weight of results that were never yours to carry. Hand that weight over. And he said if you hand over responsibility to a truly noble person, they will never harm you. God is not indifferent to you. When you genuinely turn towards them, they turn towards you. Give 90% of your mind to God. Let the world run on 10%. And if you can't do that yet, if discipline feels too hard, if the mind feels too scattered, then just be the kitten. Lie down and cry. Genuinely. From wherever you are right now. Because they hear that too. Jai Ma Mahamaya.